right. So we got 3, 5, 6, 7. We're missing 2. All right. We're going to go and get started. This is web225. My name is Chuck Conk. I'll be with you the next 15 weeks. And this is digital photography, spring 2013. We'll be meeting Tuesday nights at this time slot, one night a week. And so this is actually going to be a great semester. I'm looking forward to it. Got a lot of cool things to do with photography. And tonight we're just going to do an introduction and to get us started with a layout basically of Eagle first. I want to make sure everybody can get in to Eagle. And the first thing you'll notice when you come in to Eagle, to our class, web225, there should be an attendance area on your guys' screen to post the pin that's up on the overhead, where mine says today's attendance pin is, it's kind of hard to read, it's 4J8-9H8, 4J8-9H8. It will be a random alphanumeric each week, so it'll be a different one each time. So this should be up a few minutes before class starts each Tuesday. The makeup of the class is going to be, the first part of the class is going to be going over discussion of that week's content, and then we'll take a little break, come back and do a lab, in-class lab on most Tuesdays, and then we'll let you go and complete your lab either here on campus or elsewhere. Since it's an evening class, there will be, I've tried this the last 3 or 4 semesters, works really well, especially with only 9 of us. It would be really nice. You can work in groups in a lot of your projects, the first part of the semester anyway. You'll be working in groups with your photography projects. And you'll go out and about on campus. I'll try to let you out early enough to do that since we're only meeting one night a week. And each week you'll generally have one take-home assignment. This week's, you'll see a lot of little assignments, but they're not really that big. Really, we won't start doing any really meaty photography assignments till probably week 3 or 4, I think it is, on our assignment schedule. The first part of the semester, first 2 or 3 weeks, we just spend on terminology, camera history, where we're at today, where you guys are at. I'll kind of fill out your history with cameras and taking photos this first few weeks. Because one of the first things as a photographer, whether you're going to do it as a hobby or professionally, is retraining your eye to look at photos different, and to, regardless of what camera you're using, all photographers, professional photographers, we have to retrain our eye basically to see things differently. And we'll talk about that and kind of talk about that heavily the first few weeks, and go into terminology, different framing, how you frame photos in a camera, some rules to go by, and then we'll get right into the settings of your camera, regardless of what type of camera you have, whether it's a smaller end point and shoot all the way up to $1,000 DSLR. The same techniques apply to both. So regardless of what camera you have right now, do not go out and buy something else. Keep it. I want you to keep that camera. All right? There's no sense in buying anything newer or better or whatever, because we're going to be the same techniques I'm going to teach you. You can use in any camera that you have. Okay. I started out at 10 years old taking photos on an old Brownie camera that I'll bring in kind of mid-semester, and bought my own darkroom equipment and began to take those negatives. They were like 4x3 negatives. We'll take them into my darkroom and process them. I saved up my money all summer mowing lawns to get it. And so I've been into, I would say, kind of a hobbyist, professional kind of for the last probably 15, 20 years. But my passion actually started way back when I was like 10 years old with that Brownie camera. I just thought it was the coolest thing to be able to take photos and then be able to go in a dark room and see them come to life on paper. To me, it was just like magical at 10 years old. It still is at my age now. It's still magical. And that's one of the components. We'll kind of go over the first few weeks, some of the background of photography. that I think is maybe missing in digital photography, that most students that I had the last 3 or 4 years have never used anything but digital. They've never had any film whatsoever or no type of exposure to dark rooms. And what I would like to see eventually us have, just me personally, for nostalgic sake, and not only that, but for history's sake of photography, is to eventually have some type of course to where the students go through kind of the old school film and darkroom part of photography, and then jump right into digital afterwards. Because I think you'd appreciate, not only appreciate, but understand some of the terminology we use today, which is like, yeah, megapixels, megapixel. You know, blow it up, smoke it up. You know, just take Photoshop and we'll manipulate it and it'll be done. Whereas we used to cut and paste, you know, to slice it with a razor, our proofs, and paste them together. So I think it'd be cool to have that, because I was talking to just somebody tonight before class of, you know, I have seen a significant decrease in students wanting to take the course, and one of the reasons I think it is, I know it is because most students, when they think of digital photography, and this is one of the questions I asked you this week in our post, is, you know, they don't print pictures anymore. Most people, not just students, everyone, mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, we post our pictures to Facebook and to Twitter, which I have a Facebook account. I communicate with my family with that, with pictures, just like everybody else. And I myself don't print as much as I used to probably 3, 4, or 5 years ago. So the shift, in my mind, is going from, you can come up front, is going from old school, whether I like it or not, to new school. And the new school is social media and social photography, in my mind. So what we'll probably see, even though I want what I told you I wanted, I probably won't get it, what I would like, what probably will happen, and I'll just have to deal with it, is, because it's here and now, and I even use it, is social media with photography, because that's really, even professional photographers use it. They're forced to use it because companies like Kodak went bankrupt because they've not shifted their way of thinking. And even though at one time they were the photography company in the world, when you thought of photos, you think of Kodak. And so whether we like it or not, that's where it's at. Now, that's not to say that digital cameras are going away. Let's just say the shifting in how we use digital cameras have kind of shifted from print to digital media. And what I mean by that is social media. Because I would say, you know, might be even a little low, 90%, 85, 90% of folks today post all of their pictures on a social media type of website. And hardly any ever prints anything anymore, including myself. And so, because I want you to think real quick for just a second, when was the last time that you and your family printed photos for any purpose? Maybe a family photo you have on the wall you've done 2 years ago maybe, or a year and a half ago. You got everybody together and went to a professional photography studio and they printed out a nice piece for you. Besides that, when do we do it regularly anymore? Really don't. You know, we basically rely upon other forms of media to get our photos out there. The techniques, though, to take photos haven't changed, but the technology has. And so the technology today is everybody has a smartphone with a fairly decent camera built into it, to where you can take a really pretty good camera photography, you know, for Facebook, fairly decent without really any skill, really, because they have facial recognition now, light exposure. They came out with the lights on the on the cameras or on the phones here a few years back, and so for the most part, a lot of people that I know personally take most of their photos with their smartphone, and they post them immediately to Facebook or whatever, and then they share it that way. Now, and I can tell by your nods that that's how you do it too, or you know, that's how you've been doing it for a while. Now, that's not to say that you still don't need to learn setting a technique on digital cameras, but I probably will. I'm going to go on a branch here probably, but you'll probably see the sales of digital cameras, you've already seen them already, significantly decrease. The cost, though, you'll notice has not decreased, have increased. If you've noticed digital cameras, if you went shopping here recently, they've all bumped up their prices because they're not selling as many. So what camera that used to be $150 a year ago is now $175, $200. And the reason for that is, since the market's not buying as many, they're having to bump their prices up. Okay? Now, again, that's not to put a downer on digital photography, but it's just the facts of life and what's going on. And so, but even though you're using a camera, say on a smartphone, the techniques you're going to learn in here you can actually use on a smartphone. You can use on any type of device that takes photos. Because one of the main things you'll learn the first part of the semester is training your eye to see photos differently, framing your photos, and then your settings are different on every camera. There are some global settings that you'll learn this semester, but the settings are pretty much, could be a wide range depending on the camera that you have. So we'll go over global settings that most all cameras have, like white balance, ISO, f-stops. We'll go over terms like that, macro photography, photo photography, portrait photography. We'll go over those terminologies and show you how to use them for your camera. And I've tried to also tailor the assignments to where, regardless of what camera you have, you'll be able to succeed in those assignments. Okay? So that's in a nutshell digital photography and what we'll be doing. What I want to do now is, did everybody get the pin in on the attendance? Everybody get that? Okay, cool. Let's go ahead. Yeah, type in today's pin, the 4J89H8. 4J89H8 is the pin. Did I get successful for you there? Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and start with the milestones first on the left side on where it says task. Okay, the first one you should see that has a date on it anyway is the About Me. The About Me we'll look at, it's in week 1, that just tells each other about yourself. I'm also going to have, I've added this semester a technology called Voicethread that allows you guys to post an audio post each week to questions I have pertaining to that week. And it's a fairly new technology, but especially since we're only meeting once a week, I think it'll help us kind of build cohesiveness amongst the group. You'll be able to, hear each other's voice and maybe share thoughts you maybe didn't have time to share or didn't even think of sharing in the class time. Okay? And so that's one way that we'll be doing. But About Me is one of the first ones we'll be, actually the first one we'll be doing. Also, we'll be getting into, I have it down here at the bottom of mine. Photo inspiration is a take-home you'll be doing. We'll look at in just a second. Camera make a model you'll be doing this week, and creating your photo site you'll be doing this week. So there's 4 items, actually 5 if you include Voicethread, but they're really short and sweet. But as you can see with the dates on the milestone, tells you when things are due. The check marks are whenever you actually submit something to that area. It'll check mark it. That doesn't mean it's graded, it just means you've submitted something. So it can be kind of confusing sometimes. And so what I tell students, and students have told me that don't like the milestones, and I'd say if it confuses you, just stay away from it, don't even go there. You can go to the calendar tab. The calendar tab will give you a breakdown of the due dates in a more calendar view. And then when you click on each one of these, it'll bring it up into a bigger view to see it. Okay? So that's a calendar view. Now let's go and click on the Lessons tab. The Lessons tab, and we'll kind of go across these tabs real quick. The Lesson tab is an area where all your assignments will be. I've broken it down week by week, starting with week 1 all the way to week 16. And tonight we're going to go over course documents, Q&A discussion, and we'll go over week 1. The Photo Edit tab. The Photo Edit tab launches a website you'll be using this semester called Pixlr.com, Pixlr.com. It's basically like an online Photoshop to where you don't have to purchase or install the software on a computer. It runs off a web browser and allows you to do layering, much like Photoshop does, and allows you to save it as a PXD format. And what's cool about it is on Pixlr, you can even open up a PSD file that was created in Photoshop and begin to edit that file in Pixlr. So how many has used Photoshop before already in this class? You've already used it. Cool, thank you. So you're familiar with Photoshop. So if you're already familiar with Photoshop, but maybe you don't have it at home, you can use Pixlr, which does many of the tools that Photoshop does. Everything, like I said, from layering to all of your palettes on the left side for the tools. So it's a great tool, and they even have a mobile app for it as well if you have a mobile smartphone. So we use that quite a bit. web225, this tab, just opens up Folky.com. It's a website that a hosting website for photos that I've used for years. And this just has some of the web225 classes in here. I believe I've started in 2009 posting stuff in here, all the way to fall 2012 is in here as well. And you'll see some of the photos. I highlighted actually some of the photos from 2012, fall 2012, and I think fall 2011 in our Voicethread from some of the photos that we did. But you can, avail yourself in the next week to look at those. And we'll be creating a folder for you for this class, which will be web225 spring 2012. But you can look at some of the past work that's been done. iTunes U. This link will take us to the iTunes U presence where we post our podcast each week. So what you're seeing on the overhead and what you're hearing is being recorded, and I'll post this on iTunes U as well as on on YouTube. And then what I'll do is you can stay where you're at, and I'm going to show you. I will put it in that week's folder, so you see on mine where you won't see it on yours where it says podcast. This is where I'll post tonight's recording where it says podcast. And so when you guys go home, what we've discussed will actually be in there for you to view later. And so you don't have to watch the whole thing, but say we got into discussion 30 minutes in, you wanted to forward fast and listen to it, you can do that, okay? And so that's each week. There will be some supplemental podcasts I'll create throughout the semester, and I'll tell you when those are created. And a podcast, again, is just basically a video of my voice and what's on the overhead. And you might have heard of that or might have seen one, or you've already subscribed to some in iTunes already. The Communicate tab is Eagle's way to communicate with myself and each other. You can communicate to other professors, other students. It only allows you to communicate within those that are in Eagle. You can't email someone outside of the system, and someone outside the system can't email you, okay? So this is kind of confusing, especially if you're new to campus. You have your Rock Valley College email that was given to you, the student.rockvalleycollege.edu. That email address, you will check that by going to MyRBC on our homepage and on the Rock Valley College homepage. Let me just show you that real quick while I'm talking about it. And since I'm recording, you can just watch me and go back later and watch it if you need to. Some of you know what I'm talking about with your email. Some of you might be new and you like, I don't know what you're talking about, email. On our Rock Valley College homepage, if you click on the MyRBC, there is a RBC mail student email. And when you open that up, it'll prompt you to log in with your student ID and your password. It's the same one you use to log into any network account here on campus or online services, okay? Once you log in, you then can check the email from financial services, administration here on campus, if they have any emails to you. And then you can use that email to communicate to other colleges. maybe you're going somewhere after here, or other type of services that help you as a student. I'd recommend using your Rock Valley College email to do that. Okay. In fact, there's a lot of, like, if you go to the bookstore, there's a website you can go to get discount books, but you have to register with your student email, okay, to get that. And so there are some benefits of having an email, a student email. But I do want to make mention the college is drawing back on their paper that they're mailing, and so most of the communication they give you is going to be via email. So it's amazing how many students, maybe been here 3 semesters, never check their email. So definitely you have it. I would definitely check it and use it. In fact, I have you use it the first week. I have you use your Rock Valley College email for a couple things the very first week, just to get you using it. So because it is important to use it for no other reason, is to communication here on campus, to make sure you get the communication that you need. So avail yourself to not only check your Eagle email, but you also need to be checking periodically your Rock Valley College email, okay? So if you didn't know about it, you're not the only one that doesn't know about it, or maybe you were told and forgot about it. So I'm just kind of reminding you that you need to check it and log into it, this week and see what's out there, okay? So that's the communication. Calendar, already went over. Grades, I won't click on that, but as grades are graded, assignments are graded, you can click on the grade link and refresh it, and it'll show your grade. You will have to refresh it because sometimes the way Eagle works, it doesn't show everything up the first time. They say they fixed it, but I have seen still issues with that. So students tell me if they refresh it, it works fine after they get into the actual grade module. Report, I won't click on that, but that's an area you can go in and create reports. So say you want to create, this is actually a better way to find your grades, by the way, the report tab. The report tab lets you create a report of your grades, basically, and it's always right, whereas a grades one, not so much. Okay, that one seems to be always right for the most part, from what I've heard. Students have told me anyway. So students like the reports menu part of it. So, and there's other things you can run in there besides grades. Okay, let's go back to the lessons tab. I'm not going to cover everything in this first part of the lessons tab, but I do want to cover camera deals first. Okay, Camera Craft up on Perryville. When you do get to the place to where you want to purchase a new camera, I do recommend these guys. They're local, they have good deals, they're very knowledgeable, and they don't overprice things. Now they do have some high-end items, but they also have some decent items as well. This link, I won't click on it, but when you do click on it later, it gives a price range, I think, of $100 to $300 in the search that I have for that link. So everything from Nikon to Canon to, I believe, Fujifilm is one of the top 3 that they have right now, and all 3 of those are good cameras. But like I told you earlier, don't be buying a new camera right now, but when you do get in the market to buy a new camera, I do recommend going to the store, if nothing else, to look at the cameras, because they'll let you play with the cameras and look at them prior to, say you just want to go in there to look at them, to see them, and you might find a cheaper price somewhere else maybe. But they're very knowledgeable to help you in whatever questions you might have. So, and that's not for me. Students have told me that. Students are actually one that brought because I knew the store was there, but a student of mine a few semesters back told me about how they helped them a lot, and so I'm just returning the favor and letting you guys know about it. And again, it's up there by, if you know where Meg's Daily Grind is, there on Perryville, that little shop. He's got the pizza place, and right there on the corner there. Real nice bunch of people there that work there. So Camera Craft, there's a website, and this link here brings you to the $100 to $300 range, I think, something like that. But the camera you have now is fine, so do not go out and buy anything. Supplemental podcast, let's go to that. I only have one out here right now from last semester. I'm going to keep it in there. It's on Picasa and file management. Picasa is a software I do recommend downloading this week to your Mac or PC. It's a product developed by Google that lets you manage all your photos on your computer. And you can do minor editing with it. You can create DVDs. You can create cards, calendars, a whole bunch of neat stuff. And the software itself is free to download, so I'd recommend that. And this video goes over file management with Picasa. Course documents, let's go over that one. About web225, basically tells about the spill I told you earlier, except it goes over in more detail some of the specific technology we'll be covering, like color theory, calibration, scanning, enhancement, importing and exporting, graphic images, methods of conversion of digital format will be explored. In fact, heavily explored this semester. Appropriate computer software will be used. Since we're using Pixlr as the de facto app, all my lessons and instructions will be using Pixlr, even though I use Photoshop, and I was a graphic designer for about 10 years, and so, but a lot of students, including myself, I can't afford the full professional version of Photoshop, $1,895, that's it, professional version. Now, as a student, you can register. You can register on some websites. In fact, the bookstore has some, and then journeyed.com is a place you can go to and register and get discounted Adobe software. But Adobe is one of the companies, a few companies, might be the only company, that does not offer free software to students. Microsoft offers their platform of suites free to all students to learn as far as developing on and things of that nature. Adobe doesn't do that. Even though I like Adobe, I don't like their structure as far as helping students or not helping students. And so Pixlr will be using, even though if you have Photoshop at home, you can use the tutorials I create in Pixlr and things can be tailored towards Photoshop. It might be in a little bit different place or something as a tool or something, but for the most part, you should be okay. So syllabus, we're not going to go over that in class. We'll let you read that on your own. Subscribing to Course Podcast on iTunes U. Do this between now and next week. Just follow the directions on this, 1 to 7. And you'll just register one time and subscribe to the course. Done. You will need to download iTunes if you don't already have it on your Mac or PC. It is free to download. And I do recommend iTunes while you're in there and doing this for our class. I do recommend looking at other podcasts that are out there because they have tons of podcasts out there for you to help in any subject you can think of. There's close to 900 universities and colleges on iTunes University now that let you take courses at no cost. From MIT to Harvard to Princeton, you name it, all the big universities have a presence on iTunes U, and you can take courses out there at no cost. So I definitely recommend doing that and availing yourself to that. This is a link to creating a contact sheet with Picasa. We won't go to that, but there is down the semester we'll be creating a contact sheet, and we'll be using Picasa to do that. Online free photo editors. This is just external links to this Pixlr here that I have up here already. I highly recommend that one I already mentioned, but there's a couple others I throw in here that are out there. Sumo Paint and getpaint.net. This is a downloadable version, getpaint.net. It's kind of a pseudo Photoshop type of app, but it's free, and students have told me they like it, so I threw it in there. Okay, let's go back to on this textbook pdf.pdf. This contains the first 4 or 5 chapters of the text for the course in a PDF version, and you can avail yourself to that. We'll be using it actually starting in week 3. Okay, Q&A discussion. Let's go into there. since we do only meet once a week, I do want you guys to use this area to post and respond to each other's questions, comments. It could be camera related or not camera related. It could be, I dropped my phone, I don't know where to get it fixed. Can you guys help me? I found a new deal on a camera. I found I'm needing to buy a car. Does anybody know where one's at? I mean, it doesn't matter. Whatever questions you want to ask in here. I'm going to stay out of this to where you guys can post and respond to each other. So it's not really a technical course class discussion area. It's more of your area to be able to build cohesiveness and group basically, since we're only meeting once a week. So definitely do avail yourself to this and post as much as possible. And if you don't have any questions or comments on things, maybe you might help somebody in here that has a question on something. You can help them out. So that's your area, the Q&A discussion. Photo critiques throughout the semester. We will have some. I have one in here for exposure week 6. It's not yet turned on in the grade yet, but we'll more than likely be doing it. So I'm going to keep it in there. Classmates week 4, that's in there as well. But I do want to look at the photo critique one real quick, because these are some terms you'll be learning here right on the get-go. You'll look at some photos of your own and of each other's during the photo critique time. And here's some questions you'll ask of all the photos you see. Composition, where are they placed, and you'll learn about a term called rule of thirds. Depth of field, is there depth in the photo? Exposure, how's the lighting? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it too much lighting? Is not enough lighting? Technical, are there spots, pixels, areas, pixelation areas? And then how does this photo make you feel? That last one, students don't really think about coming into web225. That's actually the first assignment we're going to do here in a second. We'll talk about it. First take home. When you look at a photo, it does bring emotion. Every photo you look at. Every face brings emotion. My face might make you mad. I don't know. Everything you look at brings emotion, right? It does. Okay, let's talk about some people that brings emotion before we get to pictures. Bill Murray. You look at that guy and you just start laughing. He can walk in this room and not even say anything and start laughing. Steve Martin. Okay, there's another one like that. I'm trying to think of another. Will Ferrell. Okay, like him or hate him, the guy makes people laugh just by looking at him. He just has a face. All right? So people, and then there's people you look at that you're like, I think it's one of the Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House. You know what I'm talking about? John Boehner. That guy's got the most sourpuss face I've ever seen in my life. He just makes you like, what in the world? He can give the dirtiest and you know, emotion. When I see his face, I'm like, man, you need to, I don't know, somebody needs to slap some funny on you or something. He gets really serious about everything. And we know people like that. All of us know people like that, right? On both spectrums, funny to totally serious. But let's talk about photos for a second. We've all seen photos that when we see it, it can be gut-wrenching, or it can be uplifting. It can make us cry. It can make us laugh. One of the ones recently I know that I cannot watch, it's a commercial actually of abused animals. It shows the pictures of the abused animals coming across the screen. And I'm a dog lover, cat lover. I grew up on a farm. I mean, I just cannot stand seeing any animal abused. It just upsets me. It really does. It makes me sick. And maybe you're like that as well. But those type of pictures, I mean, it does. Why do they show those pictures? It brings emotion. If you just look at it for a second, you're like, well, I gotta help stop this. That's terrible. All the way to, you know, when I grew up, it was the kids in Ethiopia. They showed all the time with the, you know, swollen bellies and malnourished and had no water. Why do they show those pictures? Are they real? Yeah, they're real, and it's really happening, and it's a real problem. And they show those pictures to bring emotion. Advertisers do it every day, don't they? They show pictures to bring emotion. And so subconsciously we know that, but consciously we don't know that. We don't talk about it. we just watch it and we go, wow, I wonder if those people really knew that picture's going to do that to me. You know, I wonder if those people that made the commercial on the abused animals knew that was going to make me very upset. Okay? Yeah, they knew that. That's why they put them on there. Okay? And so subconsciously Americans, and we're probably the worst about it than any other nation, we just don't talk about it. We don't want to get into the emotional stuff and the, feely stuff. We don't talk about it. And it's not just guys either. Girls are the same way. Women are the same way. We just, as a culture, we're just not going to talk about it if it has anything to do with emotions at all. And so the advertisers know human psyche, though, is the same everywhere, including us. Even though we don't say anything about it, we don't talk about it, it does affect us. And so a person drives, you see a commercial of a person driving a really nice car, and you put yourself in that person's place, okay? A guy climbing a mountain, yeah, I can do it. No, I can't. All these pictures you see of, whatever blank you want to put in there, you've seen photos of to encourage you, to inspire you, to convict you maybe. All these photos basically bring emotion. And so one of the first things we're going to focus on this week is realizing when you're taking photos, I want you to see emotion in it and let yourself feel it and talk about it and what you think about this photo and what it makes you feel like. Because usually when we say of a photo, well, I like it because it's good color, or it's the person in there smiling big. But we don't talk about like, oh, that really made me feel good, or that really inspired me, or that really made me, really made me upset by looking at that photo. And so that's what we're going to talk about this first week, and first 2 weeks actually, is getting emotion and how does that photo make you feel. Because the more you feel about photos that you're taking, the better photos you'll take. Okay? If you don't care about something, you're not going to have too good a quality in whatever it is you're doing, right? If you don't care about it. If you care about it, you're going to do the best you can, that you possibly can, with whatever it is that you care about, right? You're going to have the best, you're going to put your best foot forward every time. And so that's why I kind of want to shift your thinking when it comes to photography. Because I want you, regardless of what your thought personally of you taking photos has been, wipe it out. Just delete it. It's not there. You're starting with a clean slate tonight, and you're going to start beginning anew with taking photos and just beginning to take a new look at things and starting a new step forward in taking photos, regardless of what your experience has been, good, bad, and different. So how does photos make you feel is definitely one of the photo critique questions that we really focus on a lot in our critiques. Okay, week 1, let's jump right into that. Podcast will actually be in this area tonight. We will not be going to the full 10 o'clock time frame tonight. And in fact, most Tuesdays we will not. I will leave you some time to work with each other. Sometimes, each week we'll have a lab that you'll be doing. And most of them are take-home labs. You'll start in here, but take them home with you. And in past semesters, students begin to become friends with each other around you, get in your group that you say, okay, this is my group of 2 or 3 or 4. We're going to go do this together and get it done. And so that's how generally students in here have done it in the past 9 years. And it seems to work really well, especially for students. I know your guys' schedule is all different, and it's great to be able to knock out projects together and get them done versus, okay, I've got one more night to do and I haven't even started my project. And so hopefully with these group settings and giving you guys a good 45 minutes to an hour to work on them each night on your own, you'll be able to knock a lot of them out. And so, when we get towards the halfway point and the end, where the projects get a little larger, you'll kind of stray away a little bit from the group activity, but you'll always have that group to fall back on and to help you with whatever it is you need help with throughout the semester, okay? So, about me is an area in week 1 that you're just going to tell each other about yourself, post or reply to each other's post. And it says in the post here to at least 2 other people. You can do more than that, but that's just recommended. I do recommend, since we're meeting just once a week, to definitely read everybody's post. Create a photo site. I want you to register for a brand new Flickr account, and I want you to use your RVC student email to do it, okay? And so do that. You've got a whole, from now until Sunday, to complete that. When you're finished, all you'll do is post below a new post, and you'll put in the post the URL. So if I click a new post here, and I'm going to put in anytime a post title is put on here, just put in your name, and then you'll put the URL of that Flickr site below and hit submit, okay? And so you'll have till Sunday to do that. It only takes a few minutes to create a Flickr account. The beginning of class next Tuesday, I will walk through a Flickr tutorial with you of how to manage your Flickr account, how to create sets in your Flickr account, which are basically week by week sets, starting week 1, week 2, week 3, all the way to the end of the semester. Flickr is easy to use, though, just so you know. There's other ones out there that are just as good, but Flickr is easy to use. Students like it. It's it's easy to use. I think it works well, and it's easy for me because I can create one tutorial to show everybody how to use it. And like I said, a lot of you have other accounts already. I want you to create a brand new one, even if you have a Flickr one already, with your Rock Valley College email, which I know nobody has one with your Rock Valley College email. Okay, that's why I picked that email, and I know everybody has that email. Camera make and model. Again, this is due Sunday. You're going to look at whatever camera you have. Maybe it's a Fujifilm Fine Pix. Maybe it's a Nikon Coolpix 6300. Maybe it's an old Kodak Easy Share. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, post that camera, make and model below. And while we're talking about camera, make and model, if you don't already have the manual for your camera, I would search Google for a manual, because most of your cameras have a website and a PDF file document of that manual somewhere. And I don't have this in it as far as an assignment, but I would recommend you highly doing that. That way especially when we get into settings here in week 3, we start talking about settings of your camera. It's good to have that manual with you. And so if you don't have it with you on your person, if you have a PDF, that'd be great. Starting week 2, actually, just to get in the habit of it, I want you to start bringing your camera. If you didn't already bring it tonight, don't worry about it. But starting week 2, bring your camera every Tuesday. Every Tuesday, bring it with you. And only that, make sure the camera's with you at all times from now on, the whole semester. Okay, that's just going to help you when you're doing a photo assignment and you're like, I cannot figure out what to take. And you'll be driving down the road, you'll see something. If your camera's with you, you'll be able to pull over and take that photo that you need. If it's not with you, you won't be able to do it. Okay? So again, any camera make and model will work for this class. All right? So make sure and post your camera make and model, and keep your camera with you, and for sure bring it every Tuesday, and make sure before you come that the camera's charged up, and bring with you your charger just in case, because cameras do this, the batteries deplete quickly, especially the older they are. Bring your charger with you just in case you might need it. And any other peripherals that you might need for your camera, like an SD card reader is always good to have. What I mean by that is a USB SD card reader that you can plug into a computer. Some of you might use it at home already to do that. Or if you have your USB cord that plugs into your camera, either one will work, just so we'll have some way to get your photos from your camera to the Mac, okay? So you can use your USB that you have, the cord that comes with your camera, or you can use an SD card reader that plugs into a USB thumb drive. Either one will work. Assignment 1, photo inspiration. This is I love this assignment. It's right out of the chute to get us started. this semester. I actually started this about 3 semesters ago, and students really like it. And it's basically a take-home assignment that will inspire you as you begin learning how to take good photographs. So before I click on this link, where it says this link, you're going to go to this link in just a second. I'll go to it. You're going to find at least 5 photographer portfolios, and you're going to post a link that out of all those portfolios that you find that you really like, I want you to find one photo and that catches your eye. You don't even initially have to know why. Just you like it. You don't know why yet. Some of these photo sites will not allow you to right-click and download a picture. Okay, you might have already noticed that. So what you can do is, whether you have a Mac or PC, if you have PC, which most of you in there I'm guessing are PC people, if you have a Vista or 7 computer, or even 8, you can use the snippet tool built into the computer, and I'll give you the instructions how to do that. The snippet tool allows you to take a snippet of the screen, and then it allows you to save it to your local computer. If you have a Mac, Shift-Command-4 will let you save that picture to your desktop. So basically you're taking a screenshot of that picture and saving it to your local desktop. Then you'll upload that picture right within the discussion below. And what you're going to do is post it, and then whichever photo caught your eye the most, post it, and then tell us why this photo caught your eye. You can say, I just thought it was the coolest picture ever out of all of them I looked at. Okay? This picture made me feel inspired. This picture made me want to go run a marathon. This picture made me, whatever it was, the reason you liked it. It doesn't have to be anything technical. In fact, I don't want it to be technical. Just, what emotions came up that caused you to like this photo so much. I like the brightness. I like, whatever it is. Whatever thought comes to your mind first, that's what you're going to post. And so basically, when you click a new post in Eagle, you might already know this, but when you download a picture to the local computer, you can actually insert an image. Okay, you can insert an image this way within the post, or you can click the Add a File down here at the bottom. I'd recommend that one, the Add a File, better. Because when you add the file, it'll add that file, that picture as an attachment, right? And then in here is where you can put in your comment here. You can put in your comment. Okay, and then you post the picture below and then submit it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to basically, everybody has rights to see each other's post and picture. You're going to look at everybody's pictures and then reply to at least 3 other people's photos on why you like it as well. Okay, what is you liked about it? Make sense? Okay, so other pictures that other people have posted, why it inspired you. So you're going to get inspired with this exercise. So let me go to the website real quick and show you some of the photographers' portfolios. It's 40 great photographer portfolio websites for inspiration, specifically designed for inspiration. We'll get a little prompt there. And as you scroll down, it gives you the first picture of each photographer's portfolio. The first picture is generally a good description of the type of photos they take, okay? So you don't have to really click on these initially. Just scroll down the screen, because each one of these photographers, that first picture is generally the one that it's their it's their piece. It's the piece that they always promote when they show these are the type of photos we take. So some of them, as you can see, are like, this type of photo is kind of like the picture speaks a story in this guy's face and the room that he's in, the rustic, and he's had not had it so good probably. All right, so the pictures, if that inspires you, just seeing that, you want to go further. This one here, you can tell by just the little snapshots here, more model type photographer, okay? If that's what you like, that's what you're gravitated towards, look into that. Okay, this one goes into, again, more people story type photos. Okay, people story type photos. Same here. Okay, this goes into more rustic, kind of old school type of photography. Comedic type of photography here. So the list goes on and on. Just keep going down until you find one that inspires you. And when you click on one of these here, so you go down here to Eric Anderson, you can expand the website. It'll actually bring him to that photographer's website, where some of these photographers have phenomenal websites, by the way. Just crazy some of the layouts they have on them. But again, I mean, they have really good websites, and you can just click on the images and say, yeah, maybe that inspires you, maybe it doesn't. And so as you go through, you just find the photo that does inspire you. You say, well, this guy, I thought he would, but don't really see much. Okay, maybe that would. So again, when you find the photo you want, you're going to right. Now this one here, you notice on right click, it's a flash photo. So on the Mac, I can do Shift Command 4, and it lets me save that photo, and then it puts it on my desktop to where I can upload it and do whatever I want to with it. Okay, and so does that make sense? And so it's an inspiration lab, take-home lab. First assignment out of the chute. Any questions on that? What we've talked about as far as what to do. So you got about me, create a photo site, camera make a model, photo inspiration. Not a lot of assignments, but none of them are big. This last one will stretch some of you maybe, but that's okay. You're going to do good. This one is a Voicethread. Voicethread, again, I told you earlier about this. It's a newer technology in education to where it lets you basically post pictures mainly, kind of capturing photos, capturing thoughts, and then the instructor will ask a question of the students, and the students register to voicethread.com with your Rock Valley College email, and you basically go to this link, and this link will take you to the Voicethread. And I'll go ahead and go there and show you what it looks like. I didn't make that clickable. I'll make sure and make that to where you guys can click on it. Do what? Oh, sorry. Oh, I must have hit something. Thank you. There we go. Now I'm already logged in, but if you're not logged in, it'll have a login prompt down here at the bottom for you to log in. And what you're going to do is make sure and have the speakers turned up on your Mac or PC when you do this. You will need a microphone on your computer. It does also have a mobile app for iPhone or iPad that you can download that's free, doesn't cost anything. And it also has a web app that you can use as well. Let me go ahead and just show you the first slide here. It's a picture. It's a web225 digital photography. Picture down here of an animal here running, and then this is one of our students from last semester on a digital photography portrait photo. So what you'll do is you can actually just click on my face.
Okay, this is a week one Voicethread for Web2.
It'll start the Voicethread.
Since we only meet once a week, I thought it'd be good to utilize this technology just to hear everybody's opinion.
So I'm not going to play all of it, but anyway, I ask a question of you, basically why you're taking a class and a few other questions, basically about why you're taking a class though. So what you will do is, once you hear the question, you will basically just hit comment and then click record. And most of your computers already have a built-in mic, or you have an external mic maybe already. You just hit record, and it'll tell you to begin recording. Now one of the prompts you will get on some of your web browsers, it will ask for permission, for Adobe Flash, for permission for your microphone. make sure and say yes. You want Adobe Flash to give you permission. You give Adobe Flash permission to use your microphone. I do have a microphone up here, by the way, I brought from upstairs. I don't use anymore. If somebody needs one, you can have it. I don't use it. That you can plug into your PC. If you have a Mac, they already have a built-in microphone already. And most of your PC laptops I know have them, but some of your desktops do. And so, but if you don't have a microphone, I do have one up here that you can use. But they're really cheap. Microphones you can buy very inexpensive, but if you don't have one and you can't afford one, take this one for sure before you leave. Now, what will happen is, as people start adding their voice comments, you'll see their avatars. Now, I put my face on mine. You don't have to use your face. You can use an avatar. In fact, it'll give you an avatar by default, which is just an icon with, like, say, a chess set or a lion or a thimble or whatever. And you can choose from those avatars what you want, or upload a picture of yourself, or you don't have to be one of yourself. It can be anything you want to. Then when you go to the next slide, again, you'll do the same thing. Click on my face, listen to the question, post your comment. So each one of these I've highlighted. I ask a question on each one of these slides. It doesn't have to do with the slide. This slide's just for you to look at. These are pictures that students have taken prior semesters, and these are actually things you guys will be doing. And I mentioned that in the post. So here's a panoramic, portrait, photo restoration, a before and after. These are some things you'll be doing this semester. The questions have nothing to do with the photos, though. Okay, these are just for your viewing pleasure while you're listening to my voice and you're posting your audio. You have something to look at. And so that's it. It's just a few slides, and we'll see how it goes. I'm using this for a few of my classes already, and it's going pretty good. And it kind of gives, especially since we only meet once a week, I'm hoping that it'll kind of get you guys to, none of the questions are real deep or, hard questions, hopefully. And, keep the answers to a minute or two done, and that's it. So nothing big, nothing major. And I have used it on my iPhone. It works really well. And I do put the steps, the alternative method. If you have an iPad or iPhone, you can install the app, and then they have a little plus symbol to where you can basically record your audio. Yes?
Does it have a notifications functionality?
I get a notification. I do get a notification every time any one of the students posts something, but I don't know if the students do. Let me know if you do. Because I get a thread every day. It's a digest.
Someone want it on, someone want it off.
Yeah, it's up to you. I don't know if the default is on or off. Let me know, though, if you would. That'd be great. Because I know I didn't turn it off, so I'm guessing the default is on. And what that means is once a day, they send me a link every day, an email, telling me the last 24-hour cycle what activity has went on in my post. Does that make sense? So if you guys get that, it's not too bad to have one. I don't mind one email a day. It doesn't bother me. I just don't want an email every time, but it gives me just one email a day, and it tells me how many people posted. So there probably is a way to turn that off, though, if you don't like it. Okay, so questions on Voicethread. All right, that one is also due by Sunday. Again, a lot of little items, but I don't think it's going to be too overwhelming for you to complete. Now I want to jump into week 2 real quick before we're done here. Week 2 we'll do an intro to camera history and terminology, and we'll do a in-class lab where you'll get to, for the first time, work in your group, and you'll choose a group around you that you want to work with, and take each other's photo, and you're going to submit it below, each other's photo, and then I'm going to put together a place on Folky for those classmate photos that you've taken of each other. And so you'll basically, take, I don't remember how many I have you take in the instructions. We'll say it's 5. Out of the 5 pictures you take of each other in your group, the person you took the photo of will choose the one that they want for you to submit. Okay? Guys really don't care for the most part, but ladies do, I know. And so, I take it back. I know a lot of guys that do care about that. So make sure you bring your camera next week. Bring if you have a manual, bring it. Even though we're not going to be using it next week, you just kind of get in the habit of it. For sure, bring your camera next week. Bring a USB cord. If you have a camera bag, bring that with all your stuff in it. And then always bring your camera with you everywhere you go, starting tonight. When you go home, just don't leave it anywhere. Leave it with you, and carry it with you. Bring it with you to work. And so I'm hoping that starting with this first week's assignment, specifically the photo inspiration, that'll kind of get you thinking differently about photography and be thinking of why you like a photo. And then also the Voicethread. I talked to an educational psychologist about this. I was asking her opinion on Voicethread, and she was telling me that some of us more than others, when we speak, some people can formulate ideas better when they speak versus writing it down. Have you ever sat there with a piece of paper or a Word document and the cursor just blinks for 30 minutes and you're like, forget it, right? Now some of you will find that audio helps you formulate your thoughts better by speaking it. Some of you are not that way. You're fine. You can sit down. I can say, hey, I want you to write me a one-page paper on your thoughts on digital photography, and you can just, boom, it's out. 30 minutes, you're done. No problem. Some of you are both ways, though. You can do both easily. You can write and you can speak. But most of us are one or the other. We tend to lean more one towards the other. And so, but regardless of what camp you're in, hopefully all of us will enjoy the audio. Bless you. The audio post. It is a newer technology. And again, you do not have to post your face like mine up there. You can post anything you want to. You can use a built-in avatar. In fact, I had a student in the first class Monday, actually, that when they created theirs, they asked me, how did they know my favorite avatar was a race car or something? I was like, I don't know. I don't know how they do that. I'm guessing it was just random. But they just randomly give you whatever avatar until you change it. I think they do remind you to upload something periodically if you don't do something immediately. But let's have fun with it and enjoy it. Don't make it a big task. This course is fairly laid back, especially with the number we have. I think we're going to really be able to accomplish a lot. I have had this class totally full, and that can be there's struggles with a full class. So I think it'll be an intimate number here to where we'll be able to really learn a lot about photography, learn a lot about each other, and then also be better photographers at the end of it, okay? By getting feedback from each other, by working in your groups together. But the main thing I want you to be thinking about between now and next Tuesday with the inspiration assignment and thought is be looking at photos all week between now and Tuesday and be thinking to yourself, how does this photo make me feel? I want you to ask yourself that question between now and next week. I'm going to ask your responses next Tuesday if you've had what experiences you've had when you started looking at photos that way. What types of feelings did you have when you saw a photo? Or you really thought about it? You put some thought into it. And why did you feel that way? Maybe sometimes you don't know why you felt that way. I've had students tell me in prior semesters, they always had a real kind of almost a sad feeling when they saw one of the family photos they had, and what it was this one photo in their living room. It was a picture of their grandmother. It was the last Christmas they were together with their grandmother. But they were really little. They were like 4 or 5 years old. And every time they saw that photo, even being 20, 30 years old, they got a little sad every time they saw that photo, and they never knew why. And come to find out, they asked the mom, and that was the last photo that was taken, and she actually went, in her sleep at the end of that year. And so that was why he felt a little sad seeing that photo. but you never knew that. And so sometimes we see photos, sometimes we really don't know. He didn't remember. And so sometimes you don't remember. It's kind of like songs. You know, I grew up in the 80s, and so 80s music, all different types of 80s music bring different emotion to me just because I grew up in that genre. I remember where I was. I remember, you know, maybe who I was dating. Remember, you know, what classes I was taking at times. You know, so different things, football games, you know, proms, all that, you know, getting in trouble, you know, all the stuff emotions that come up when you hear songs. It's the same with photos. I think Americans are pretty good with music for the most part, with emotions and music. We're not too good with photos. We don't really hear much about that. But we're going to start exploring that this next few weeks, okay? So I'm looking forward to a great semester with you guys. If you have any questions before you leave tonight, come up and see me. But if not, I'll see everybody next Tuesday, all right? Yep, yes. Nope, this is just a one-time thing when you come to class on Tuesday only. It's just when you guys come in, the enrollment, you just log in like you did on here. You'll go to Chrome or Firefox on home on your web browser, on your home computer. And then you'll go to rockvalleycollege.edu to get to Eagle. You know how to get to the main web page on your home computer? Yeah, on your home computer, when you go to the main web page, there's that My RVC button. When you click on that, one of the links in there is for Eagle. And then you log in just like you do in here, and basically you're right there just like you are in here. It'll all show up. And the only time you have to enter the PIN in is when you're in here on Tuesday. So don't worry about it any other time. That's just so I can that's what I'm using for roll, basically. So, okay? Yeah.